So today we're going to be talking about header formatting. We're going to emphasize the difference between merge and center across selection. These are two features in Excel that generally do the same thing, but one of them, center across selection, has some distinct advantages that in many ways makes it a best practice, despite the fact that merge and center is the feature that most people are familiar with and what people generally use. So we're going to focus in on some of those differences and why center across selection should be something that you use more frequently. Additionally, we're going to talk about dynamic headers and how you can implement them in Excel spreadsheets. So here we have a basic income statement in an Excel spreadsheet. You can see the header here is at the top. It's income statement for XYZ. So currently this is in cell A1 and it's not centered over the rest of the income statement. So what we'd want to do from a formatting perspective to make this look good is to center it across cells A1 and cells B1. So to do this, all I need to do is to highlight these two cells and then go to the toolbar at the top and choose Merge and Center. So this is the feature that most people are familiar with. So by doing this, you can see that now income statement for XYZ is centered over cells A1 and cells B1. But the problem with this is what Merge and Center does is it actually merges the two cells. So if you see, if I go to cell A1, I press up on the keyboard, all of a sudden cells A1 and B1 are both highlighted. There's no way for me to pick just cell A1 or just cell B1. This has, for all intents and purposes, just become one cell. The problem with this is that if I'm manipulating data or if I'm trying to highlight a certain section of the spreadsheet, there's no way for me to just isolate those individual cells. So I'll demonstrate this. If I wanted to highlight column D1, I can do that. I can highlight the whole column. Or for E, I can highlight the whole column. As soon as I wanted to highlight the entire column B, it's going to select both columns A and B because they're merged at the top. If they weren't merged, I'd be able to select just column B. So this is unfortunate because the formatting looks really nice for merge and center, but you lose a lot of functionality from manipulating data and for other useful purposes. So what we want to do is we want to center these across the two cells without having this sacrifice. So to do that, we're going to center across selection. So that means that we do the same thing we'd do anyway. We're just going to highlight these two cells, but instead of hitting merge and center, we're going to go to the formatting page, and on the alignment tab under horizontal alignment we choose center across selection. So now it looks the exact same. It's centered, but we still have cells A1 and cells B1 individually. So that means that now if I wanted to select column B, I can do that and it's going to get just column B. So now that we have this centered across selection and it looks the way we want it to, I want to talk a little bit about dynamic headers. So dynamic headers are essentially just headers that will adjust depending on input from the user. So if we wanted to make this header that says income statement for XYZ be able to change depending on the company that we're analyzing, we could do that. So in order to do this, we have to turn this into an equation. So to start, all equations in Excel have an equal sign, and anytime you're dealing with words in an equation, they have to be in quotations. So we're just going to take what we have and we're going to put it in quotes. XYZ is the part that we want to change. We want this to be able to say Apple if we're talking about Apple, or Ford if we're talking about Ford. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the ampersand symbol, which connects two parts of the equation, and then we're going to put in the actual cell that we're going to be changing to affect the header. So that's going to be this cell here, B12. And now when I hit enter, we have income statement for blank. But when I put something in cell B12, say Ford, all of a sudden that's in the header. And likewise, if I change that to say Apple, wrong cell, then it'll change. And we can do this multiple times. So if I wanted to say income statement for Apple in a given year and have both the company and the year be dynamic, we can do that. So let's do that now. I'm going to go in and I'm just going to add another ampersand symbol, and then I'm going to go back into quotes for words, and I'm going to say, make sure to put in the space because you always need to leave the space, for the year ended. Oops. End quotes, and then I use the ampersand symbol, And once again, I select the cell that's going to be dynamic. And now I can hit enter. And when I put in 2017, that's in the header. See, that's why you need the space. Just like that. So now we could change this to say forward in 2015 if we wanted to. These are dynamic headers. The reason they're useful is because a lot of times in companies people will pass around spreadsheets that will have a lot of variables involved, and depending on what you're dealing with, you're going to need to change the data to be accommodating. And this just provides a really easy way for people to go in and to just change things that are going to be changed every single time. So if they're filling out a form, and this form is going to have all sorts of information that they're going to need to fill in that's going to a bunch of different people, whoever's creating the form is going to want to be using dynamic headers so that when they pass it out and people are filling out all this information, it just automatically adjusts, but it's still formatted in the exact way that they want it to be.